bonjour, welcome back to the ODIY channel where we talk all things Odoo. Today I want to show you some of the new features available using Studio for approvals which you can set on buttons associated with bills, invoices, journals and any other document or record really that you may need to have approved. So this week I had a client ask me, hey Maz, we want to be able to assign the approver based on the department that we've tagged on the vendor. How do we do that? So let me show you how we achieved it. There's probably a couple of ways or maybe more that you could do that, but I'll show you what we did. So let's jump in and see how we do that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the bills. Okay, so here we can select new. Right, and so this is where we would start processing a vendor invoice or vendor bill. So let me do that. Let's do Clubs Australia. Now, normally all you need to do is fill in the details of the invoice and then click the confirm and it goes through. But in this particular scenario, we want this to be approved before it gets confirmed. So we don't want to pay it unless the department manager has sort of seen it, agreed that they received the services or the goods before we approve it. So what we do is, if I just save the record as is right now, is up here on the top right, I'm going to go to Studio. And I'm just going to show you how this works. So what I can do is if I click on the confirm button here, on the left hand side, you can see that you can set approval rules. So if we click that, it's now going to give us a set of fields that we can populate. So this is actually a little bit more comprehensive than what we've had previously in previous versions, and I really, really like it. But the way that it works is you can sort of put who's responsible for this particular confirmation, or you can do it by user groups. So the issue here with this particular client was that it wasn't really by user group, it was by the department head that they wanted it to go to. So the first thing I needed to do was to create a user group for each of the department heads so that we could then associate that with the user, and then I could use that group in here. So let's go and do that, and then we'll come back and we'll do the rest of the process. So I'm going to close Studio. I'm going to go back there, and then I'm going to go to users now. So in order to be able to add a new group, a user group, we're going to need to be in developer mode. So I'm going to go to settings, scroll all the way to the bottom, activate developer mode, and do this with a lot of caution. Okay, let's do that. So I'm going to activate developer mode. And now when I go to users, I'm going to get some options up here, which is going to include groups. And these are sort of the access groups that we assign to users to give them certain privileges with it throughout the system. Now, the point of this group that we're going to create isn't necessarily to do with anything privileges throughout the system. I really just want it so that I can use it in the workflow. So this one's going to be super easy. So what I do is I'm going to set up a new group and say we're going to leave application blank. We don't need application. And I'm going to call this operations manager. Okay, I'm going to save. Then I'm going to do another one. Say I have venue manager. Save. And then maybe I might have one more called general manager. Okay, so now I've got 3 new groups which are effectively department heads, and it means that I can assign these new groups to specific users. At the moment we just got me, but say I'm going to assign myself and you'll see that they appear down in the other section. I'm going to give myself the operations manager role. Okay, so I am now, as a user, flagged as the operations manager, and now I've got some groups in here related to departments that I can use for my workflow approval. Okay, but before we do that, what my client was doing is in the in their vendor list. Oh, where are you? Let's go back. Sorry. Yeah, in our list of vendors. If I add a new one. Okay. What they were doing is they were using the tags on the vendor to sort of associate it more closely with the department that was ordering from this vendor. There's probably another way to do it, a better way to do it, but this is just the way they were doing it. So I'm going to associate this one with operations. Okay, and let's maybe do one more. Okay, ABC Tools Limited. Now these guys are going to be venue related. Okay, so now we've got two vendors with different tags. Okay, so back in the bills, what I'm going to do, I go back in here, is I need to bring that vendor tag into the vendor bill so that then I can use it as a conditional filter in order to assign the approval to the correct person. Bear with me here, it will all make sense in the end. So, but what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to go to Studio and use one of the features in there in order to do that. So I'm going to go to Studio, and I don't think the tags are available here. Nope. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the related field in here, and then I can find the partner record or model, and then go tags, and then we want to return the display name. So, okay, confirm. Let's rename that now to vendor tag. And we can click off and save. Okay, so now if I close this, if I choose one of my vendors that I just created, you can see it's returning the tags that I associated or I put on the record. So ODIY Academy, I put as operations, and ABC Tools, I put as venue. Okay, so now we have effectively that department that's related to the vendor. Okay, so now we've got to finish off this confirm approval button so that it goes to the correct person associated with the department. So let's go back into Studio, click back on the confirm button, and it will come back up with the approvals I previously set. So what we need to do here is we're going to say, in the first instance, it's going to be the department manager that approves, and then the last approver can be the general manager, just so we got double approval, and we can do that, and I'll show you how. So now we do have the new group that I created. So let's do here. Now, you're going to get this error the first time that you create new groups to use in Studio, but there's a really nifty trick in order to fix this. So let me just duplicate my tab. Okay. And what we're going to do, let me just close that off. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to the groups, and we are going to select all and export. Bear with me. Bear with me. So what it's missing is something called an external ID. So let's add the external ID in there, maybe the ID as well. That should do it. And then we're going to export. Now, we're not actually doing anything with this file, but what this is actually doing is, where there isn't an external ID, Odoo is automatically generating one. So then it auto creates the external ID for our new groups. So I can pretty much just delete that file. I don't need to look at it. But now what you'll see is if I try and select this group again, I don't get that error anymore. There you go. Tip a trick. Okay, so we want the allowed group. So we want the operations manager to approve this, but only if the vendor tag is operations, right? So what we do is we set a conditional rule so that depending on the tag associated with the vendor, it goes to a certain group. Okay, so let's do new rule, and we're going to go partner, and then tags, and then so where the partner tag, I think the safest way, in case they are multiple tags, I'm going to put contains. So where the partner tags contains operations, right? So on this one, where it contains operations, we want it to go to the operations manager. Now, what happens if there's nothing there for the operations? Well, what we can do, so that's the first one. What we can do is have a second first one with a different rule. So we can do the same again, partner tag, partner tag, and then display or tag name or display name contains. So say this one was the venue, then it would go to the venue manager, which was that other new group that I created. Okay, so this one is if the vendor tags has operations, it's going to set the operations manager user group. Or if it's got venue, it's going to set the venue manager in the allowed group. Then I'm going to do one more, which is going to be the second approval, no matter what, is going to be, and I don't need conditions for this, is going to be the general manager one that I created. So in this example, the general manager always approves everything, but the department manager approves it first, to say they've had the service or whatever. Okay. Now in here, there's a couple of other, you can hover and it will tell you what to do. You can put a description, so it pops up a little description of what to do, which users to notify, who's responsible, etc. I'm just going to leave it with that. You could have a little rainbow man. And then you can limit the visibility of that button in general to certain groups. So it's limited at the moment to invoice billing. I'm just going to leave it that way. That's okay. Okay, so now if I close this, I now can't confirm this vendor bill until it's had the required approvals. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to finish this off. Let's buy something. All right. Okay. So as you can see, I try and confirm it, but it's saying to me the following approvals are missing. In this case, it needs the venue manager that I am not and the general manager that I am not. I assign myself operations manager. Now, if I actually change this to ODIY Academy that had the vendor tag of operations, one of the confirmations is now me. Okay, so if I go confirm, now we need the general manager approval as well. So I'm just going to refresh that. So you can see now that I've approved it as the operations manager, but now we're awaiting the approval of the general manager that would be another user. Okay, so that's how we dealt with how to get the department manager to approve the invoice bill. Hope you liked it. Join us next time when I'll have other tips and tricks for your journey on Odoo.